Hi, everybody. This is Heather Coleman, your intuitive medium and spiritual guide. And today we are going to be talking about synchronicity. So, the first thing to understand is, what is synchronicity? I did a little bit of research on this because, I've got my definition and I'm going to share that with you. But I wanted to give you a little bit more of a perspective here. Synchronicity in the dictionary is defined as the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. So things that we would think are a coincidence, right? Again, a simultaneous occurrence of events that appear significantly related but kind of like it can't be proven, right? So again, that's usually what we consider a coincidence. Another definition of synchronicity, and this is the one that I think is so important for us to understand. It's often been said that there are no coincidences. So this other definition I found that I'm going to be sharing with you all in other places as well. The universe reveals itself through synchronicity. The universe orchestrates the events, people, and environment and lining them up so that you are exactly where you need to be. Synchronicity takes place like a vibrational beacon that transmits a divine message or coded sign back to you, indicating that you are in alignment or on the right path. And I feel as if both of those definitions make a lot of sense. The first definition is sort of what synchronicity is on the outside, and then that second definition tells us what it truly is. So when you begin to notice synchronicities in your life, what that tells you is that you are in alignment, you are co-creating, even through the rough times. And I want to get into that too. But let's talk a little bit about some examples of synchronicity. And I always like to say I could not make this stuff up. Two examples that happened to me recently. I was drawing some cards for myself and hadn't looked at all of them. I had looked at a couple of them. And as I was just sitting quietly, allowing the messages from the cards to resonate with me, what had happened is I had drawn the romance card, and within the next few months. And I have been single for quite some time. And as I sat very quietly, just sort of feeling into the messages, listening, watching for signs from the other side, what really kept popping up is how I have been for the last year in a place of no, no, no. And what I mean by that is just, I'm not looking for love. If it finds me, then great. But right now I am not on dating apps. I didn't really find the best results there. So I have been in this no, no, no mindset about romance. I've just been also, and again, the no, no, no for me is, no, 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 that's not my first priority. Yes, 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 my first priority is my health, my children, and my work, as well as my family and social life. Those were my yeses. So that was what was popping up in my mind when I drew these two cards, romance and within the next few months. So again, what was in my mind when I drew those cards, it was no, 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 this has not been my priorities. The very next card I uncovered was a card titled No. That is a perfect example of synchronicity, of showing where this is where my mind and my energy was, and the universe reflecting this back to me. Again, I love this example because this was also an example of the universe giving me a heads up for what is to come, because perhaps my mindset will indeed be shifting, right? Another example of synchronicity, which is maybe a little bit closer to our first definition, which is two similar events that seem to have no connection whatsoever. I was in the car a couple of weeks ago listening to a podcast, and the message on the podcast was talking something about how we are not robots. We are not robots. We are living, breathing, feeling, thinking beings. And just as that came up, I happened to look up And I saw someone standing outside with a sign that said robot convention. And I was like, if that isn't synchronicity, I don't know what else is. Then later on that same day, a suggestion for Netflix popped up for me that I don't even remember the title of the show, but I did watch the first episode. But I liked the picture, and when I clicked on the summary of what the show is about, the show premise is about people that live and work with robots that look very human-like, about people who live with these robots in their homes and people who make them. So talk about synchronicity that somehow this word robot. And when we talk about synchronicity, sometimes these things simply happen to just show us that we're right where we should be. These repetitive messages. Sometimes there is more to it and sometimes there isn't. I'm going to give 2 examples of each. Another example, when I was early in my psychic journey, was I woke up one morning. You know those last little bits of sleep that we often experience where we're sort of in between sleeping and waking, and I was seeing scenes from a movie that I hadn't seen in many, many years. That I was in my mid-30s when this happened, and this was a movie that I had watched in college. In fact, even now I don't remember the title, but just quickly the premise was that this guy thought that a bunch of people stole his entire identity and ruined his life, and then at the end it turns out it was a big joke. These it was Consumer Recreation Services, the name of the company, and they play this big prank on you for your birthday. And so that movie, I hadn't seen it in, gosh, at least maybe 12 years, 15 years, right? And so I'm like, that's interesting. I woke up with just the seeing and remembering that movie in my mind. So that morning, I wasn't even sure if I was going to go to the gym or not. It was one of those things where I may have ended up exercising outside. But I did end up going to the gym, and I went into the cardio cinema, and the movie that was playing on the screen in the cardio cinema was that movie. This is a perfect example of synchronicity, and at the time, I was so early in my psychic journey that I thought the movie itself might have a message for me. It turned out in that particular case that just the images were the message. So in other words, just the fact that I saw this and then I ended up right there, it was the universe's way of telling me you're doing everything just the way you're supposed to be doing it, when and how and where. Now, another example of synchronicity where there's even more to it, let's just say, I'm going to use another example from my own life. When I do playlists for my fitness classes, sometimes when I'm trying to search a certain artist or song, something comes up that I didn't intend. And 3 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, a song popped up that I hadn't been searching for. The artist is Catherine Russell. The name of the song is You've Got the Right Key, but the Wrong Keyhole. And so it's a great song. It's a bluesy song. It's about a breakup where a woman tells the man she's done with him and then she changes the locks, right? So that song had popped up. I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I was like, it's a great song. It would fit what I'm doing. And I thought that's all there was to it. Well, again, when we talk about synchronicity, repeated signs, I also have a son named Rafi, and he is 13. He is also very psychic, and what happens a lot with him is that spirit works through him through songs. And so he will begin to sing a song that often has a message for me. Now, it's been a long time because as I shared with you all, I had taken my focus off of dating and onto other things. But in the past, when I was maybe talking to someone new or had been on a date, when Rafi started singing that song, You've Got the Right Key, but the Wrong Keyhole, it was bad news because it meant that that relationship was not going to work out. It happened 3 times well into the past. So, as I shared with you 3 weeks ago, that song popped up on my Apple Music, which I hadn't been searching for it. Well, just a couple of days ago, my son started singing that song, You've Got the Right Key, but the Wrong Keyhole, and I'm like, oh, okay, because it's not a song he listens to on his own. The very next day, an ex, someone I broke up with quite a while ago, texted me. So these sorts of things are signs, music. And again, sometimes that music or that movie or a sign, a visual sign or a website that crosses your path is telling you something. And so it's up to us to pay attention to those signs that the universe is sending us and what those signs are telling us about who we are, and where we're going. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned something from this. It's certainly been a lot of fun sharing all this with you. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Check out my website to learn more. There's a blog. And I'm honored to be here with you, helping you learn on your spiritual journey. Namaste.